It is essential, in my opinion, to the health of this community that we, all of us, including both citizens and law enforcement, have confidence that these cases will be handled with impeccable integrity.
Travis County District Attorney Margaret Moore there announcing that her office is changing the way it's going to handle the investigations into shootings involving police officers. She says now not all cases are going to go to the grand jury. So we wanted to hear from Austin Police Chief Brian Manley about his thoughts on this change. Good morning, Chief. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you.
Quickly for folks at home, essentially the kind of thumbnail version is she says she's going to look at the case along with people from her civil rights division, and they're going to decide if they think there is a criminal aspect or if there's some dispute in the facts. Then that's when it's going to be sent to the grand jury. So with that in mind, Chief, what is your reaction to this change?
You know, I do view this change as something positive for the community. There was a lot of thought that went into this. This is not something that District Attorney Moore did, quickly. As you can tell, she's been in office for a while. She met with community leaders. She met with community activists. She met with police officials, legal officials, and I believe that she's put together a process that will allow the cases that do need to have a review by a grand jury to be handled in a more expeditious manner, because they won't be held back by those cases where, based upon a review of her legal experts, don't need to go to a grand jury. So I think it's a bold move on her part to take this on, and I think it's going to allow the system to operate more quickly.
Were you consulted?
Yes, we did have discussions throughout the time that she's been in office about the direction she wanted to take this, and about some of the best practices that she was looking at.
Well, how concerned, though, are you about the public perception that the district attorney whose office and herself works with the police department on literally thousands of cases a year, that she is going to be the one to decide, along with this small group, whether something criminal happened? The public might look at that and say, well, how is she impartial?
Well, I think you have to look at being an elected official. You are accountable to the public. So I think there is a strong incentive to make sure that you are being impartial, and that when you're vetting these cases, you're making the appropriate decision. So although I do understand some of the concerns that have been expressed by some folks, I do think that impartiality is built into it just by the fact that you're an elected official.
But you could do the most painstaking investigation, but if the general public doesn't think it's legitimate or has concerns about it, does it even help anybody then in that situation?
I think this is going to allow for more transparency and more quickly, because, as the district attorney pointed out yesterday, in those cases where she chooses not to bring it to a grand jury, she will sit down with members of the family and go over the evidence in the case and explain what she based her decision on. And she'll also put a document out outlining the legal reasons why she chose to make the decision that she did. So I do think that the community will be informed of the evidence that led her and her team to come to the decisions that they did, or that they do, in these cases.
On the flip side, though, looking at it, say, from the police officer's perspective, if she and her office decide there was or could be a criminal act here, so they are going to send it to the grand jury, are you concerned that the grand jury might take that as, well, if she thinks that, then we should probably indict this person?
I think it all comes down to the fact they're going to present the facts of the case to a grand jury. I think that's one of the other changes, is that in the past, the district attorney's office would merely present an officer-involved shooting case without actually making a recommendation. And so I think we have to trust the folks that have been elected and hold these offices. They make recommendations in all other cases, and what she is doing is mirroring that same process for cases involving officer shootings.
So the grand jury, historically here has not really indicted very many officers in these situations. Is there concern among your officers that this may be tougher for them? They may face more indictments because of this.
I don't know that there's a general concern for that. I know that the Police Association worked with the district attorney through this process, and I know that they too support this. So obviously the proof will be as we work through this, but I do not sense a general concern at this point, no.
All right, Chief Brian Manley, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate
it. Thank you so much.
All right, it is now 6:18. Let's get to David with a look at the weather. But I want to tell you guys, before we get there, by the way, coming up in the next hour, I forgot to mention this, we are going to have Travis County DA Margaret Moore here in studio. We're going to talk to her about the change and also the response to some of the criticism that the change has received.